Hey, what up? It's your boy Drew. And first, let me lay some groundwork for what I want to get into today. So I'm going to play this video sped up. What it is, it's this guy on TikTok. He claims he's in 2027 and he's able to somehow send these transmissions through time, and he's the only person left in 2027. And he's able to go anywhere, do anything, and there's no one there. But also at the same time, like there's nothing newer, no technology newer than what's out today and stuff like that. And so this guy goes around, it's been going viral the last couple of weeks, and people, are trying to explain away how he did it. And of course, the people on YouTube, aren't the most savvy with this kind of stuff. So a lot of these YouTube people kind of try to buy into it, because no matter where he goes or what he does, somehow there's nobody there. And he even takes, I guess, some kind of like challenges. Sometimes like whatever you type in the comments, they're like, go do this. And then he'll go do that to somehow prove it, that's proof or something. So I get it, it's pretty dumb, but just bear with me because I'm trying to lay the groundwork of what I'm trying to get into. Obviously, it's not from 2027. And to make it even more ridiculous, apparently part of the gag is he'll leave objects in certain places and then people will claim to find them. So he's in 2027 and he's leaving objects somewhere, but people in 2021 are able to find them. Pretty dumb, right? And where I first saw this was on this like conspiracy forum that I've been going on for years. I was like shocked by the reaction of these people. You got to imagine they're most likely boomers or people that have been studying conspiracies and stuff for a long time. And some of these comments, man, just blow my mind on here. They say, wow, something actually worthy of this forum. Very cool. Even if it's a trick, he's pulling it off really well. One of the most creative works I've ever seen if it's fake. The only thing that bothers me is that he was not active on TikTok before this event. Suspicious. So the fact that he says he's time traveling and somehow transmitting you a message 6 years from the future, that's not suspicious. But he wasn't on TikTok before. These people's minds are just gone, man. And one of the other proofs he shows apparently is like he'll show his computer and the date on the computer shows 2027. So that's a proof. Unreal, right? Somebody finally asked the question, how could the internet of 2027 be communicating with the internet today? And this person's answer here is, ever watch Fringe? So a lot of these conspiracy theorists, man, their brain is so cooked and fried from all the TV they've ever watched. They compare everything to like TV. And so a TV Hollywood movie, the most deceptive thing they're saying this is a proof. So this is how this could work, because if you've never seen Fringe, you would never understand it. Pretty ridiculous, man. I think it's pretty embarrassing that grown-ass adults would immediately try to like explain how this is real rather than a real sound theory of this is some kind of Hollywood special effects or something. Or at the very least, he's going into these stores, early before they open or something. No, they just try to explain it away. But here's some software that would do what he's doing. So I don't know how he does it, but I'm saying this would be my guess, is he's doing some kind of post-editing with some new type of software that could just remove things like this possibly in real time. Who knows, right? I don't know how he does it, but I know it's not real. This would be like a sound guess if you wanted to say, how did you do this? This guess gives a great starting point for how this could be happening. But the truthers are all obsessed with something like Fringe, and they want to LARP like all these movie things that they see is somehow related to reality instead of this, I saw the same phenomenon on the same message board here the other day where they were going bananas about this thing here that was during Biden's speech. Let me see if I can zoom in more. And they take this blurry photo from above where Biden was speaking, and they say it's a demon because it's under the words "in God." And they also use this picture. This is looks like it's taken from that camera they said was a demon. And they're saying this black figure up here, this is another demon or the same demon or something. So they're saying that thing is a demon there. That was hanging on the wall before, and now it's a demon over there. And their proof is they compare it to this creepy veiled woman image. But in this same thread, someone comes through with a much clearer HD picture to show you what that really is. And you can see here it's a camera. Let me make it bigger. So here you can see it's a camera, clear as day. But even after the guy on this forum posts the camera picture, then people are still coming out with explanations and proofs that it's a demon. Like this Illuminati card game shows demons at the White House. So that's a proof that it's not a camera. It's actually demons you're seeing. So even after it's been debunked, people are still in here saying it's a black moth, Nancy's shape-shifting, demons coming for Pedo Joe, it's CGI for clicks. No, it's literally a camera. It looks like a time demon from that Hulu show, Legion. They compare everything to a show. And since this fits the narrative that they like, Pedo Joe, these guys eat babies, then they must be surrounded by demons. Forget that it looks exactly like a camera. It's been proven that it's a camera. It fits into what they want to believe. It's like that X-Files poster, I want to believe. So then they project their beliefs onto what they see on here, even though that's not the reality of what it is. You know, they debunked it, and this guy says, just because someone gives an alternate opinion doesn't mean it's been debunked. So posting a picture is an opinion of what it is, an HD picture. And that goes with the Yuri Bezmenov, true information no longer matters. And before I get off here, one last little post I had, it's just unsubstantiated, just a rumor. It says this guy on some random video says Hillary Clinton is dead. And so an unsubstantiated rumor on a conspiracy theory board where they should be critical and trying to search for the truth. That unsubstantiated claim. Somebody here says, I believe it. Saw a video today that said Tom Hanks was hung, that they had to because he was such a sick fuck. Another unsubstantiated rumor. They just heard it, so it's got to be true. So I want to know how that Tom Hanks comment is any different from when I go here to the newest John Levi video, Abandoned NYC video, and I see this comment in here that says, right here, Robbie M. In one of Wise Up's videos, he expresses the possibility that NYC is called the Big Apple because of an ancient massive tree that is now Central Park. Man, I wish I could time travel just to see it in its full glory. How is that Tom Hanks thing different than this Tartaria comment right here? And this is to follow up on that video I did yesterday about Tartaria. And let me just be really clear that I love it. I love to look into it, and I'm equally as enthralled by the theory probably as everyone that watches it. But I just take it all with a grain of salt, and I think of it as like conspiracy art or just entertainment, you know what I mean? The buildings themselves, I agree, are unexplainable. It doesn't fit with the technology they say they had at the time it was built. And that's my only gripe, if I had one, with Tartaria, is that you have one of the best conspiracies out there that you could get your Aunt Kathy to look at her with her own eyes and go look at these buildings and scratch her head and question it. But then all this other speculation gets ramped in with it. And that was my point, is that there was that mainstream Bloomberg article discrediting it because so much stuff is mucked up with it, like this comment here, or things like, you know, orphan train, mud flood, free energy, all this wacky stuff, when the buildings themselves easily the greatest conspiracy there is. You don't need all this extra stuff in there. I'm just seeing way too much speculation, and I got a lot of pushback from that last video I did because I'm saying, like, a claim like this is unsubstantiated. But all these people love the TV so much, they got to compare it to things they see on TV, like time travel. I wish I could time travel and see it. How is that discernment? To me, that shows that this truth community, the discernment is just as bad as on these like boomer forums, or even just normie, like that TikTok conspiracy, like the TikTok time traveler or whatever. Something a normie. And these people think they're better than normies, but no proof at all. And then they just run with it. It's basically we was Kangs for white people. And if you think I'm wrong, prove it. Leave a comment and tell me how that's wrong. It reminded me of the video I did that got taken down called Shit Trump Tards Say, where I showed how all these people, the Q-tards, were trying to explain how Trump was going to stay in after he lost the election, and the comments that I got. You know, because the concept of QAnon, yeah, it's probably real, that in an overarching sense of the concept. Yeah, there's a deep state. Yeah, there's people that want to do bad things to you and stuff like that, right? So for sure that part of it's real, but I was getting so much hate and pushback when I called out the Trump tards. I see the same thing in the comments that I made about Tartaria, the same people defending it the same way, just like a cult. And again, man, let me stress, I love it, man. I don't believe there's some official history. I believe everything, is a lie. And maybe some people are newer to my channel and I don't really explain it enough what I'm looking at things from. I'm looking at things from a term that I've coined post-conspiracy, where it seems like almost every single conspiracy, there's some kind of proof to back it up. Like Matt says, the reality will show you whatever you want to see. So I'm looking into it and that perspective, like how can you possibly see all these proofs for no matter what you look into? And Dark Glasses Woody broke down the post-conspiracy idea real great in the comments when he says here, when a mass psychology event is orchestrated, both the mainstream narrative and the opposing pole form a part of the ritual. Typically, it will be the official narrative on one side, with the idea that the entire thing is a fiction and no one died ever, staged event, actor, auto hoax on the other side. The real course of events could be anywhere between these two pillars of the narrative or outside them. But as they are both fed supporting evidence, the event is given resonance across time and the reality obscured. In this way, the event becomes more than real, like a new myth in the social consciousness. This technique of narrative manipulation by controlling the two poles of the discourse extends to the deceptions about the natural world also, so that on one side we are presented with the globe and the other model of the flat plane. Both models are physical shapes which can be reduced to human perception like a ball or a dinner plate. Setting the discourse between these bounds excludes any understanding that acknowledges a form that cannot be held in a mind's eye. The lines in the sky are to be understood either as explained by the media or as nefarious spraying program. Adopting this paradigm precludes consideration of other possibilities, such as change in nature of the sky that favors the formation of such trails now in a way that didn't in the past, and all the ramifications for understanding that such a natural change might prompt. Tartaria is another example of bounding the narrative between two controlled poles and releasing supporting information with the goal of precluding a truer understanding of our history. When conspiracy is mainstream, any explanation that falls between the two poles of the provided narrative remains a part of the MSM. And that's a really great breakdown from Dark Glasses Woody. Shout out to Dark Glasses Woody. Like EBT even left a comment that said, what if these world fairs were just pictures of scale models? Like, that's a big idea that we need to look into. I just don't get why, like, the Tartaria people would go from, when they show you the pictures of the 1918 Spanish flu and everyone's wearing the mask, the vast majority of truthers out here, they're going to say, these are photoshopped images, they're not real. Or if you showed a Tartaria person any official narrative, official history of some type of construction or something, they would say these pictures are not real or photoshopped. But every single picture that people look at of Tartaria online is real. It can't be photoshopped ever, right? And I'm not denying the buildings again. I hate that I even have to say that, because the people that are just getting into this, I think they're in such black or white thinking. They're like, hey, if you're against this, you're against me. Now this Tartaria has become my identity almost. These people, I think, felt personally attacked when I said, hey, I don't believe 100% of all these theories that are... The buildings alone are like an amazing thing that need to be answered for. Yes, I agree. So I'm not saying the buildings are fake or anything like that. They're in every city where I'm at in St. Paul. I've broadcast live from one and it's amazing. You go in there, yeah, I don't get how they made it. But here's a thing from 2 Minute Papers that shows a text to image program that you just type in what you want it to be, cars, pets, or anything. You type it in, even historical architecture, and this thing is gonna generate a CGI composite similar to this person does not exist. It can do it of buildings, cats, anything, just from text. You just text it out. So I want to know why all of a sudden every single picture that John Levi looks at and just speculates at, all of a sudden every picture of the past history is real, except for anything given to you by official mainstream media, then that's fake. That's the problem in the thinking that I see for the real true Tartarian fanatics. One of the main comments that I've seen many times was, It's in a mainstream paper, so that's all the proof you need to prove that it's real, is that the mainstream paper says it's not real. That's the breakdown in logical thinking that led to Trump and Trump supporters, Trump tards. So you guys are falling into the same trap. That's why Bloomberg called it similar to QAnon. There was only one person in the comments that actually addressed all the points that that article made. But then there was tons of people that said the mainstream says it's fake and not real. So that's all the proof that I need to believe that it is real. They're running damage control. Drew, you should know this is a hit piece. You should be able to see right through this. A guy like you should be able to see right through this. I guess I'm just not woke enough. I guess I just haven't watched enough John Levi to know this kind of stuff, guys. And they say John Levi hitting 100K was like the synchronized moment for it to go mainstream. Do you think it's a coincidence this guy gets 100,000 subscribers and you guys want to say this kind of information is suppressed or being suppressed, being censored? Well, then how the fuck does the guy get 100,000? Again, here I disagree. It means that we're getting close. When they mock you, you are getting close. Sound just like a Trump tard talking about CNN. Exactly the same narrative coming out of your mouth. Everything gets the MSM treatment if it isn't in line with their narrative. But they're 2 steps ahead of you now. And they're playing chess. You got to realize anything that happens in society, including comments that you see over and over and over again, everything happens by design. So take that dark glasses Woody comment. They know you're in between these 2 spectrums. They know if they put out this mainstream one, equal and opposite action is going to happen. And you're going to push back and say that means that it's real. The same way they played the Trump people by saying they were against Trump. And then Trump got in, what did he do? He rolled out the warp speed, he rolled out the mask, 5G, it all happened under him for the people that would have been the most against those things. This guy here says the smoking gun is that the official historical narrative does not support the overwhelming photographic evidence of fully built out American cities full of impossible architecture. So why are those pictures real? Because the reason you think those pictures are real and you automatically accept them as real is because they fit in with your confirmation bias of this Tartaria subject. Anything they gave you, if they said it was to disprove it, if it was from the same picture, you'd say, oh, Photoshop, not real. This person says, you can't just wade into a subject and start spewing your opinions. There are literally thousands of authentic photographs that prove that history has been systematically suppressed and erased. And I totally believe we don't know anything about our true history. But for this guy to say I can't just have an opinion on a YouTube channel, but John Levi can look at any picture he wants and spit any fucking outrageous bullshit he wants to, and you guys will go suck off John Levi because he puts you to sleep with that fucking boring ass voice he has. That's a cult mastermind shit. I'm sorry. I watch John Levi too. I think it's interesting. But when it becomes your identity, that's because it's on some weird cult shit. And when you come and like attack me for saying I don't believe in 100% of giants and everything that's intertwined with it, I mean, that just shows me the exact same mindset of the people that were into the QAnon. The same people that would use a meme like this and say, this proves flat earth. This is one of the ways we can use this to prove flat earth. They don't use the same logic when they say, oh, a door is giant, so that means either giants built them or giants were in there. There's a giant door, so that means giants built them. You have to have consistency in your logic. I was referred to chalk by QOC. Now I'm beginning to question the validity of chalk. Why? Because I don't just blindly believe 100% of some super wacky theory. I say, hey, it's very cool and interesting, but let's take it with a grain of salt. Drew, your cadence has morphed into a bizarre version of the guy I felt like I was coming to know. So you had an expectation. You had an unwritten contract with me that I wasn't aware of, and I didn't dance the way that you thought that I should dance with your imaginary contract, and now you're disappointed. I can't say I'm sorry because I didn't know you had this contract with me. But then he says, you get approached by them or what, dude? Yeah, dude, they approached me and they said, bro, it's Illuminati here. Hey, man, we need you to make a bunch of videos on YouTube and you gotta tell Faucians that they're in a cult. You wanna work 40 hours a week every week for $300 a month? And I said, fuck yeah, sign me the fuck up, dude. And so the guy that's from QOC, He'll have the balls to say, were you approached by them? But then I put out evidence of Matt being on Fox News, but none of these people will ever question Matt. For some reason, there's some weird vow of silence about that. But I'm the one you guys are going to question for saying, hey, don't just, jump in and believe every single thing. Have some discernment, because that's what I see with a lot of these truther things going on right now. Whether it's QOC or John Levi, the people just become sycophants of these channels. They have no foundation. They're looking for the truth. They go to these channels. I don't think these channels are intentionally misleading people or anything like that, but I think the people just hang on to their every word, and then it just becomes, they just parrot these people's works, and it becomes, oh, I'm so fucking woke because I'm subscribed to QOC, or I'm so fucking woke because I watch John Levi and shit like that. It becomes some weird identity thing. That's what I see anyway, and that's why I wanted to compare it to those weird like TikTok beginner normie type conspiracies. But these people think they're so woke on this like Tartaria one that I think they can't see the forest from the trees. Sometimes they get so caught up in, oh, the mainstream has to be wrong, so this has to be right. That's the black and white thinking. You don't agree with this 100%, so you're against me and this team of Tartarians. And here's the one guy, man, that actually addressed points from the article rather than just say, oh, the article says it's fake, so it must be real. This guy here called Bushwhacking Tartaria. Listen, I went and I add this guy when I want to go deeper and more into Tartaria. I'm going to go to this guy because he's actually getting his hands dirty in this research and doing it. I liked the stuff he said because he called the author of that Bloomberg article, says he spoke with him directly. I was also in contact with him on both Twitter and IG. I called him out professionally on his sources. I also showed him and provided him examples of my sources, old books. I have many old books, late 1800s and early 1900 books, that which explicitly cite Grand Tartary. And so I respect that, man, a person that they're doing the work and they're digging deep. Because I'm not shitting on Tartaria at all. It's just, I see a lot of fanaticism around it by just the surface level dwellers of it. This guy's getting his hands dirty and going deep in on it. And again, man, last time I'll say it, but I don't doubt there was a place named Tartaria. Yeah, it was on a map. But when you start saying, hey, the people over here that built the pyramids are the same people that built the White House, that sounds exactly the same to me as we was kings. There's these buildings here you can't explain when this is the homeland of our people. So now Germans were our race. This every single race really is really our race. So that's the same thing I'm seeing in the Tartaria community. Anyway, I'm still going to look into Tartaria and all this type of stuff, man. I'll never stop looking at it. I love looking into it. But let's work together and try to use better discernment on this stuff. And it's great to watch it and imagine it and stuff like that. But just because someone says it, don't just take it at face value. And on the other end of the spectrum, just because the mainstream media puts out evidence against it, that's not a proof that it's real all of a sudden. Like Dark Glasses, what he says is probably it's a polar opposite guidepost for you to keep your thinking in between so that no other explanation could ever suffice for the believers. Anyway, shout out. I just wanted to follow up a little bit on the Tartaria people, because I felt like some people maybe didn't fully understand what I was saying, and maybe I wasn't clear enough with it. Anyway, thanks for your time, and peace out.
In order to hypnotize someone, you don't have to do like stage magicians of swing watches, or have a person look at the eraser on a pencil, or stare at a spot on the wall. You can do it by controlling your voice, by doing as I'm doing now, get it a bit more sing-songy and chanty. And you can watch people's breathing and pace your phrasing so that you can start cooling them down, getting them into a light trance. And then most trance induction that's used by various cults then utilizes guided imagery in which the speaker appears to be telling a parable, repeating a verse over and over again, telling a story of his childhood in a soothing, rhythmic way in order to get the person into a trance state. Why would a cult leader want to get a person tranced out a bit? What hypnosis and trance induction does is it gets your attention, and my attention, highly, highly focused. So we don't have critical thoughts, we don't judge what we're doing, we just trust the person that's giving the visual imagery and the relationship, and it makes us much more malleable and suggestible in that state. So that once the leader gets us into a light trance, then the speech, the sermon, the message that they put in has a lot more impact than had they done it without doing the trance induction first. So that's why they do it. It makes us more malleable, more suggestible, and it shuts out that critical mind chatter that we have, such as while you're watching this video, you're asking questions and saying, I wonder if she means, I wonder if she's going to get to. If you were being tranced out, that kind of questioning thinking gets put aside, and you're just listening to the voice and the image, and then what the words say to you, you're much more likely to incorporate into your thinking.